Det er Shiradi Kumatsila Yuhia, og Hili kan play the redowner. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stuttarjata Shishimadhis Divine Grace Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBD Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanam namaskritya narang cheva narottamam deving saraswating vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityang bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. We're continuing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 3. Today we're going to read text 16 and there is no purport in 16, so we're also going to read 17. And I will just read the translations, if it's okay. Not to, might be a little embarrassing to read the prose. So text 16, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, the priests who were even worshipped by King Nabhi, the emperor of Bharatvarsha, offer prayers in prose. Generally, they were in poetry, and bowed down at the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord of the Lords, the ruler of the demigods, was very pleased with them, and he began to speak as follows. And now we have Vishnu speaking to the priests in text 17. And maybe we can do the word for word translation before we read the translation. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Aho, alas, Bhatta, certainly I am pleased. Aham, I, Rishayaha, O great sages, Bhavad Bihi, by you, Avitata Girbihi, whose words are true, Varam, for a benediction, Asulabham, very difficult to achieve, Abhyajitaha, have been requested, Yat, that, Amushya, of King Nabhi, Admaja, a son, Maya Sadrishaha, like me, Bhuyat, there may be, Iti, thus, Mama, my, Aham, I, Eva, only, Abhirupaha, equal, Kaivalyat, because of being without the second, Atapi, nevertheless, Brahmavadaha, the words spoken by exalted Brahmanas. Na, not. Mrisha, false. Bhavitum, to become. Arhati, ought. Mama, my. Eva, certainly. He, because. Mukham, mouth. Yat, that. Dvicha Deva Kulam, the class of pure Brahmanas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of God had replied, O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for King Nabi, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you are all qualified Brahmanas, your vibrations should not prove untrue. I consider the Brahmanas who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities to be as good as my own mouth. Purport. The word avitata girbihi means they whose spoken vibrations cannot be nullified. The Brahmanas, Dvicha, the twice-born, are given a chance by the Shastric regulations to become almost as powerful as the Supreme Lord. Whatever a Brahmana speaks cannot be nullified or changed in any circumstance. According to the Vedic injunctions, a Brahmana is the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in all rituals, a Brahmana is offered food, Brahmana Bhojan, because when a Brahmana eats, it is considered that the Supreme Lord himself eats. Similarly, whatever a Brahmana speaks cannot be changed. It must act. The learned sages who were priests at Maharaj Nabi's sacrifice were not only Brahmanas, but were so qualified that they were like devas, demigods, or God himself. If this were not the case, how could they invite Lord Vishnu to come to the sacrificial arena? Now the purport is changing in another topic. I found it should be a different paragraph, and it was a little confusing in the beginning, so that's why I'm mentioning. Then Prabhupada says, God is one, and God does not belong to this or that religion. In Kali Yuga, different religious sects consider their God to be different from the God of others. But that is not possible. God is one, and He is appreciated according to different angles of vision. In this verse, the word Kaivalyat means that God has no competitor. There is only one God. In the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8, it is said, Natat samash chabhyadikash chadrishyate. No one is found to be equal to Him or greater than Him. That is the definition of God. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. The Supreme Personality of God had replied, O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for King Nabi, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you are all qualified Brahmanas, your vibration should not prove untrue. I consider the Brahmanas who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities to be as good as my own mouth. Hare Krishna. So, actually Nitya Seva Mataji was invited to give class, but she's not feeling so well. So I try to prepare some flow. Hopefully I can, just this morning thinking what can we say. So in this purport basically Prabhupada speaks about 2 points, and I mentioned that at some point it really changes the topic. He's speaking about Kaivalyat and the oneness of God, and in the initial part he speaks about the phenomena, how Krishna is always making sure that the Brahmanas' words are being fulfilled. The question comes, why? Why does Krishna, why is he so, is it so important to him that the words of the Brahmanas become true? And Prabhupada here in this in this verse, I think he translates how, because they have very sublime qualities, and these sublime qualities, they are devotional qualities. So basically they are devotees of the Lord, maybe not pure devotees, but they are devotees of the Lord. So by being devoted, by being surrendered to the Lord, he takes care of these persons. So it has nothing to do that the Brahmana is something that you are luckily born into, and now because you are born into a Brahmana family, but whatever you say will become true. It's not something like this. It's something to do with what kind of person you are. So we can conclude that Krishna is basically fulfilling the words of the devotees. And we have a few examples in the scriptures of Krishna proving the words of his devotees to become true. And there is also, before I want to tell a few stories, why in Bhagavad Gita Krishna is saying something very interesting in connection to that. And I'm not sure if you can find it in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the explanation, but this is now from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. This is text 9:31. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati, kuntya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Very quickly he becomes a righteous person and becomes completely devoid of contamination. O son of Kunti, please declare that my devotee never perishes. In Prabhupada's purport I was looking before, I didn't see any mention about what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is now describing in the purport. But what is happening, Krishna is asking Arjuna to declare that the devotees of the Lord, they are never vanished, but they are always protected by him. And here in the purport, one part, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he asks the question, but why does the Lord order Arjuna to declare this when he could do it himself? He could say himself. But he says, Arjuna, you declare, you say. Personally, he will say later, Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosi Me. I declare to you that you will truly come to me, for you are very dear to me. So later on, in the 18th chapter, Krishna himself, he makes a declaration, a promise. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur now again asks, in the same way, why does he not now say, I declare, Kuntya, that my devotee does not perish? The reason is explained here. The Lord considered as follows: being affectionate to my devotee and not tolerating even a slight degradation of my devotee, I will under all circumstances uphold the declaration made by my devotee. Whereas I can break my own promise and accept criticism of myself, just as in breaking my own promise in fighting with Bhishma, I fulfilled Bhishma's promise. We remember how Krishna, he promised that he will not fight in the war of Kurukshetra. But then, to satisfy his devotee Bhishma, he broke that promise. So Krishna is saying that actually I'm not so truthful. Sometimes I break my own, I act in a different way than what I speak. Thus, hearing a declaration from my mouth, the materialistic disputers will laugh, but they will accept Arjuna's declaration as if it were written on stone. Therefore, I will have Arjuna make the declaration. Who knew of that part in? Yeah. When I was thinking of examples how devotees, they speak something and the Lord fulfills that, the first example that came to my mind was Nrsingadev, because he fulfills the words of two devotees at the same time. We know the story how Hiranyakashipu, after his brother Hiranyaksha was killed, he had a goal to defeat Vishnu, and he took very severe austerities, and Brahma, after being pleased by these severe austerities, appeared to Hiranyakashipu, and he granted him some boon. And Hiranyakashipu, he asked to be invincible, immortal. And Brahma told him, even I'm not immortal, so I cannot give you this blessing. And Hiranyakashipu was very intelligent, so he asked him, then please give me the following boons, that I not be killed by a man or an animal or a demigod, that I'm not killed in the day or at night, not in a house or inside the house, outside the house, by no weapon. So he collected all these different boons to make sure he's not going to be killed. And Hiranyakashipu became very powerful, and he was invincible. Nobody could defeat him. And then, when the conflict with Prahlad came, they had a conversation, and Prahlad was glorifying the Lord. Of course, this was very painful because the Lord is the enemy of Hiranyakashipu. And so Hiranyakashipu became so angry that he told him, I'm going to kill you. And anyway, where is the Lord? You're saying the Lord is all pervasive, He's everywhere. Is He in this pillar? And he took his weapon, he said, He's not in this pillar, I show you. And then in this moment, Nishingadev came out. And why did the Lord appear as Nishingadev? He appeared as a half lion, half man, in order to kill Hiranyakashipu, because if he appears as a human being, he would break the words of Brahma. So he appeared in that very unusual form, and then he killed Hiranyakashipu. Not in the house, not outside of the house, but just in the doorstep, and not in the air and not on the floor, but on his lap, and not day and night, but at the dawn. So he just, and not with a weapon, but with his nails. And of course he came out of the pillar. And here in the Bhagavatam, I actually wanted to read that, but now I'll just read the verse. In the Bhagavatam it says, Shri Hiranyakashipur Uvacha. I heard that some time ago, I'm not sure who spoke about this. And the question that is being asked by some acharyas, or they want to explain, of course, why is Hiranyakashipur addressed as Shri? It's like, no, Shri is a very polite and glorifying address. And the explanation that has been given, I don't know by whom, but by some acharya, is that the Lord, He didn't have to appear for the sake of Prahlad, because Prahlad saw Him already in the pillar, but He came to prove it to Hiranyakashipu. So that's why, and Prabhupada even, he translates this Sri Hiranyakashipu, the blessed Hiranyakashipu said. He was blessed by the Lord, and also, why? Because Prahlad Maharaj, he had this desire to make his father also a devotee. So Nishingadev, he kind of, again, in the mood of serving his devotees and fulfilling the desire and the words of his devotee, he did something actually for the benefit of Hiranyakashipu mainly. Another pastime which we soon gonna hear about the whole month is the Damodar Lila. And here we hear Krishna himself, he speaks about why, or he speaks about this desire of his to always make the words of his devotees become true. In the 10th canto we hear these pastimes, and I'm going to read the translation. The two young men, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, are by fortunate the sons of the great demigod Kuvera. Because of false prestige and madness after drinking liquor, they are so fallen that they are naked but cannot understand that they are. Therefore, because they are living like trees, for trees are naked but are not conscious, these two young men should receive the bodies of trees. This will be proper punishment. Nonetheless, after they become trees, and until they are released, by my mercy they will have remembrance of their past sinful activities. Moreover, by my special favor, after the expiry of 100 years, by the measurement of the demigods, they will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, face to face, and thus revive their real position as devotees. Who is speaking here? Narad Muni. We know the pastime. Narad Muni, he was traveling and he came to Mandakini river, some place, and he saw Manigriva and Nalakuvera. They were naked, bathing with many beautiful damsels. They were drunk and they were very disrespectful to him. And so he just spoke that curse. And these two personalities became trees in Vrindavan. And when then later on, many years later, Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, he fulfilled these words. So I'm going to read it from Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, to fulfill the truthfulness of the words of the greatest devotee, Narada, slowly went to that spot where the twin Arjuna trees were standing. Although these two young men are the sons of the very rich Kuvera, and here is Krishna speaking now. Although these two young men are the two sons of the very rich Kuvera, and I have nothing to do with them. Narada is my very dear and affectionate devotee, and therefore, because he wanted me to come face to face with them, I must do so for their deliverance. So, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have to deliver these two personalities. But because Narada Muni said, and Narada Muni is his dear devotee, that's why he performed the pastime. Yesterday I was just listening some Prabhupada memories, and what's the name of this Swami, Indian Swami, His Holiness, who is also quite popular these days as singing, sometimes with this Madhava rock band group? No, he's a Prabhupada disciple. Indian body, yeah. I forgot his name. Anyway, I remember. I was listening one memory of him, and he was telling the pastime how in Vrindavan, I think it was in Vrindavan, he heard Prabhupada's bell ringing in the room, and he went inside, and he knew that usually there's a devotee in front of Prabhupada's room designated for that service to go inside. But this devotee was not there, so he himself went inside, and Prabhupada was so angry, he asked him, where is this devotee? And he said, I don't know, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, go find him. So he went to see him. And he was somewhere down chanting or something, so he said, Prabhupada wants to see you. And he came inside with him together, and he said, as soon as they stepped into, Prabhupada just yelled at him like a thunderbolt, where were you? And this Maharaj, he tells that this devotee who was supposed to stand in front, he started to shiver. The whole body started to shiver like this. And then Maharaj said, actually he was chastising him, but I also started to shiver. My whole body uncontrollably started to shiver, and I thought, oh my God, the pure devotee is angry. This is not good. This is not good. It's very, Indian simplicity. So anyway, this devotee said he couldn't speak a word. He was so afraid that he just left basically after some time and went out. And then Maharaj says, another time when Prabhupada was in a jolly mood, he asked Prabhupada, what should we do when you are angry? Very good question, no? And Prabhupada replied, he was silent for a moment, then he replied, you should laugh. And this Maharaj was kind of shocked, like, laughing? Even Prabhupada. So he asked Prabhupada, why? And Prabhupada explained that, there are so many people in this world doing nonsense, and nobody's correcting them. So if the spiritual master becomes angry with you, he tries to correct you, that means the Supreme Lord is very merciful with you. So you should laugh. And I was reminded again when Nala Kuvera, Manigriva, I don't know how they reacted. I don't think they were laughing, but they got such a mercy of Narada Muni, becoming angry and cursing them, that this is actually the manifestation of the Supreme Lord's mercy.
They became sober immediately.
They had to, yeah, as three. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai, Shri Gaura Ki Jai. So in this way, I thought to share this also, that we should be eager to receive, the benediction of the pure devotee in whatever form it comes. And Shrutakirti Prabhu tells another funny story how he was usually massaging Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him once clearly that don't leave the oil bottle open. You close that bottle, because he could see what's going to happen if you don't close it. And of course he forgot, and in one move, when Shrutakirti turned, the whole bottle splashed, and Prabhupada got very angry. So Shrutakirti tried to know. He told him, you collect. He was just standing shocked, and Prabhupada said, "What? Do something, collect the oil, put it in a cup." Prabhupada didn't like to waste anything. And Prabhupada then told him, "You're such a fool. You're so foolish, so stupid, that it will take you such a long time to become intelligent that you will be 90 years or something like this." So Shrutakirti left. He was feeling very bad. And then later on, when he was with Prabhupada, maybe the next day, I don't remember the details, Prabhupada was again in a different mood, and in a jolly mood. So Shrutakirti was telling him, "Prabhupada, thank you so much. I thought it would take me much longer to become intelligent." And he says, Prabhupada started to laugh. He found it funny, that he had this sense of humor. So Shrutakirti also he could see that, wow, I got a big blessing, that I could also become intelligent in next or many lifetimes. But he said, I'm going to be intelligent when I'm 90. So big blessing. So I thought, how can we speak something relevant? I'll try to speak in the last few minutes about how this is relevant for us. And Srila Prabhupada, he gives the perfect example of how a devotee has actually really faith in the words of a pure devotee. There is one prediction by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a devotee, So we just said how the devotee, when he says something, it will become true. And even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the Lord himself, he is playing the role of a devotee. So similarly, when Mahaprabhu says something, it must become true. And while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here, at one point, he was making this prediction that his name will be spread in every town and village. And we see in our line of acharyas that, especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, they had so much faith that that Mahaprabhu predicted, and it's a clear prediction that in every town and village there will be the chanting of the holy name. Just think about, sometimes when I hear that, I think about where I grew up in the village, I think, wow. And all my neighboring villages, I know, it's kind of a very strange thought that they will be chanting everywhere. So we can think, wherever we grew up, in every village around, there will be at one point chanting. That's the prediction. And based on that statement, we must accept that this becomes true. And our acharyas, they had this faith, and that's why they endeavored so hard. There was no doubt in them that they just have to do the needful, and when they do it, then this will happen. And Prabhupada, of course, he played a very crucial role. And then I was thinking, how is it that Prabhupada had such a faith? And we know Prabhupada got this one instruction in the beginning when he met Bhaktisiddhanta. But then one story which is mentioned in one book where some devotees who knew Prabhupada from before he became famous, he told that story where Bhaktisiddhanta predicted also something. And this, I think many of you have heard this story. In Navadvip Mandal, there is a place called Mamagachi. I think it's where Vrindavan Das Thakur lived. And they did parikrama, and Bhaktisiddhanta was the leader of the group, and Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, was also there as a guest. I think still as a householder. And this one devotee who got interviewed, he tells the story that they stopped in this place Mamagachi, and Bhaktisiddhanta, he gave a lecture, and there was a big assembly of devotees. No, you know, on parikrama there's usually a lot of devotees, and all the sannyasis and the mat, everybody will go on pilgrimage. And at one point, Bhaktisiddhanta, he started to speak about the preaching mission, because just on the same day or a day before, some devotees who went to England came back, or he got some news. So he was in that meditation. And they were not really successful, as we know. And Bhaktisiddhanta in that lecture started to speak about this topic, and then at one point he became very bold. This devotee tells that story. He became very bold, and he was saying that I will make a prediction now. In this way, he's saying, I will make a prediction that one day one of my disciples will cross the ocean and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And this devotee is saying, at this time when Bhaktisiddhanta was saying this, he was looking at me. He felt like he's looking at him, and he's like, why is he looking at me, you know? And he became all nervous, and he looked to the back, and he could see just behind him Srila Prabhupada. And so he told the story years later that afterwards he understood that Bhaktisiddhanta predicted that he knew who was going to do it. And what I want to say is that Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee and he has pure faith, but then there's also these kind of incidents where Bhaktisiddhanta, and we know he spoke behind closed doors. Nobody was allowed to go in. So we don't know what they spoke. But I guess he knew that he was the one who is going to do it. But then, also, now comes probably the most important point for us. Even though this prediction is there, and Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee, when we read his biography, there is a chapter called I'm not if it's a chapter, but it's a lifetime of struggle. Something like this. Why this name? Because Prabhupada was struggling for a life. No, he was supposed to fulfill that prediction, but then in reality, he was just struggling his whole life. And we could ask why. And one time I heard that the reason for this, why this is happening, is because Krishna wants to glorify his devotee. And so he creates a whole pastime that the people in general, they will think, wow, that's Prabhupada is really amazing personality. Just think if Prabhupada, what he wrote one book and it went to the West and somebody picked it up and said, wow, that's it, we're going to spread it, and it spreads all over the world. And Prabhupada just maybe wrote a book, it would be different. So Prabhupada got glorified by the Lord's arrangement. And the other reason I heard is because he's teaching us something, that we also have a mission in this life, and if we see that everything just goes smoothly with the Supreme Lord, then in our life we will not know how to deal with these obstacles. So by looking at Prabhupada and his life, we can learn how we should be faithful in our Krishna consciousness. And I'm going to read 2 things and then we can wind up. Oh yeah, here's one thing. I'm sure you also heard that, it's famous. This is from Lilamrita. And it speaks about Srila Prabhupada's time in 1965 in New York when he was still alone. In his solitary wanderings, Srila Prabhupada made acquaintances with a number of local people. There was Mr. Ruben, a Turkish Jew, who worked as a New York City subway conductor. Mr. Ruben met Prabhupada on a park bench and, being a sociable fellow and a world traveler, sat and talked with the Indian holy man. Mr. Ruben, now he's speaking. He seemed to know that he would have temples filled up with devotees. He would look out and say, I'm not a poor man, I'm rich. There are temples and books, they are existing, they are there, but the time is separating us from them. He always mentioned we and spoke about the one who sent him, his spiritual master. He didn't know people at that time, but he said, I am never alone. He always looked like a lonely man to me. That's what made me think of him like a holy man, Elijah, who always went out alone. I don't believe he had any followers. A small incident how Prabhupada, obviously when he was in New York and struggling, he knew it's bound to happen. It's just a matter of time. And here we have some personal words by Srila Prabhupada. He spoke in a lecture. So somehow or other it has begun. The blessings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as he wanted me, he desired me. So because he desired I'm not very expert or educated or nothing extraordinary, but only thing is that I believed in his word. That is, you can say that is my qualification. I believed 100% in his word. So whatever success is there, it is just due to my firm faith in his instruction. So I'm trying to follow. And by his grace, you are helping me. So actually, the responsibility will now depend on you. I am also old man. I may pass away at any moment. This movement should go on. You see, this movement started by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should go on. Prabhupada speaks some very heavy words. He is saying that now the movement is in the hands of his followers. And when one hears this, then one who is a sincere follower of Srila Prabhupada, then it can sometimes feel very heavy. Now if you get responsibility in the movement, now we have Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu, who is becoming one of the GBCs. And I'm sure, and I know, sometimes this feels very weighty, like, wow, now I have such a responsibility in the movement of Srila Prabhupada. And this can overwhelm us sometimes. But Prabhupada gives a very simple formula here, that you don't have to worry about anything. All you need to do is to have faith in the words of the spiritual master, of the Acharya. And to end, I want to read one of these words of Srila Prabhupada, which can inspire us. So this is a letter to Nityananda in 71. It is a basic principle that one must accept a bona fide spiritual master in order to achieve the highest perfection of life, love of God. I thank all of you very much for accepting me as your spiritual master, and I promise that I will take you back to home, back to Godhead. I ask you all to promise me to always chant at least 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles, read our books, and try to preach this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And then again here he also mentions, so far my qualifications are concerned, I'm simply trying to carry out the order of my Guru Maharaj. Prabhupada is saying here that if we simply do these things, if we chant 16 rounds every day, follow the regulative principles, read his books, and try somehow or other to spread Krishna consciousness, then he will make sure we go back to Krishna. So now, if we do this, that means we go back to Krishna. But the problem is, we usually don't have faith in these words. Yesterday, sorry, I will just a few minutes. Yesterday I was speaking to one senior devotee who, Radhashyam Prabhu, and Radhashyam Prabhu mentioned, I hope it's okay that I mentioned this, that when he was in coma, he was unconscious for a long time, and not only that, then when he became conscious, he couldn't remember who he is, because he had this heavy accident. And so he just mentioned, you know, I didn't chant for quite some time, lamenting. And I asked him, you chanted? I know, he said, from the day one I decided to chant 16 rounds, I chanted 16 rounds till today, only in this time where I was unconscious, or I didn't remember that I'm a devotee. I should chant. Then I didn't chant. But then he said, but then I read in my own, you know, he wrote his own biography, and so it's a crazy story. And he read his own biography, and all of a sudden oh, Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See, he got reminded, oh, I have to chant. So he started to chant. Why I'm saying this is, and I told him that it's so nice to see a devotee, a senior devotee, who has such faith in this instruction. Especially in our yatra, there's many senior devotees who are not chanting 16 rounds. And they are devotees, and they say, you know, yeah. But the problem is, it shows that you don't have faith in the Supreme Lord and His pure devotee, because you're trying to find your own way. You're trying to please the Lord in your own way, but you're not accepting the way given by the pure devotee. And it's such a simple process if you think everybody can do, but the fact that so few can do this a whole life means it's very difficult to have faith and to stick to that determination. So let us remind ourselves on that again and again, and stick to that process, and not try to become something big or special, but just to do the needful and be happy. And we don't have to worry about anything. Prabhupada will take care of us, because he has promised. And we know now that Krishna will fulfill that promise. When we leave our body, he will take us home. It's guaranteed. We just have to do it. So thank you very much for your attention. Please forgive me. Maybe sometimes a little bit... if you want to, those who like to leave, please leave. And if somebody wants to say a comment or ask a question, then now is the time. Yes, Yamuna.
Thank you so much for your wonderful mention. When you were mentioning that actually Srila Prabhupada's words is so powerful and they will come true, I was reminded of these passages in Bhagavad Gita first, in the introduction, when he says, this movement will become the most famous movement. And I really try to remember this often, and I become very joyful then, because we are a part of it, and probably we will see how it becomes the most important and famous movement in the world.
You think we will see in our lifetime?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, Swami in his book Krishna's Way, he's quoting Srila Prabhupada, and then Srila Prabhupada would say, this society will collapse very soon, actually, because it's not going anywhere. And he will repeat it 3 times that this society will collapse in this way. And
so it's also supposed to happen then, yeah?
Yeah.
If Prabhupada said.
And so that kind of inspired me to go deeper. And also when once the social Ramprabhu said that, yeah, if this society will collapse, they will search for alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the importance of farm communities and really to live the philosophy and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada is so important for us, because if it's they've already predicted it could happen any time, and we shouldn't waste any time actually, because then it's stronger. We should really try to live the things that are so important.
Thank you very much. And we have 2 disciples of His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami. So we hope that they can guide us how to fulfill this desire of Prabhupada to be self-sufficient. And Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yes, Prabhu.
Actually, that is a great hope. And Bhakti Raghav Swami always cites the last moments of Srila Prabhupada before his passing, when he said that he did so much, but he said he only did half, and he didn't do the other half. One ashrama, lifestyle, and Mataji says the society is going to collapse. I think it's more and more evident. We're being attacked also. It's very difficult to persevere and to keep faithful. And these 2 things, that real predictions that we cited today, and new lifestyle that Varnashrama offers us, I think that will be what makes this organization or this movement so global. It's a big message of hope.
Actually, thank you, Jairam Prabhu, for, again, those who like to leave, you're free. We usually are strict with the time. It reminds me something I read this morning also, this verse, Pritiche Nagaradigram, the prediction, and then one statement, Prabhupada in a purport, he quotes that verse, and then he says, so it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that the deity of Krishna will be worshipped in every village. And I got the deity. No, we have sometimes in this temple we are a little bit. We're doing a lot of deity worship, but we should do more preaching and all this. So I got a little bit shocked. Why is he saying the deity? So then I read the purport, and it was in connection to deity worship, the whole verse. And Prabhupada said he connected the 2. And when you said that, I was also thinking how this prediction of Mahaprabhu that the name will be chanted in every town and village, if that's what will happen, but what will happen also around is much more. Like there will be deity worship, there will be farm communities, self-sufficiency, and that kind of, what I want to say is that Prabhupada saying that Mahaprabhu wants deity worship everywhere means to chant the holy name. There is a whole package that you need in order to establish that. You need the deity worship, you need the self-sufficiency, and that we can think about, no? How that prediction is there and it will happen, but what does it actually need? No, we have to use our intelligence. What does it actually need in order to that the holy name is going to every town and village. And then we might conclude, yeah, we need we need self-sufficient communities, farm communities, etc., schools, deity worship, temples. So it becomes much more pragmatic for ourselves, how we can contribute to the mission. Yes, dear Shirat.
I had a comment and a question. I think it was 2 years ago I had asked Keshav Maharaj, because in Chaitanya Bhagavat I read how Lord Chaitanya was describing to Mother Sachi how he never leaves her, and he described my different incarnations, and he described his deity being the holy name. So this just reminded me of the very fact that the deity will be everywhere also could mean that the holy name will be. Because in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Lord Chaitanya says that my deity of the holy name. So that's also
Okay, yeah. Nice point.
My question was more about this factor of faith. We see that Srila Prabhupada had such strong faith whatever he did. All the difficulties he went through, his faith was so invincible, such strong faith on the words of his Guru, so much so that even if he was alone, he never felt alone. And it's quite remarkable. And although Prabhupada gave us such strong statements on his reputation that I will take you, don't worry, just do this, then I sometimes wonder individually what we can do actually to increase our faith in Prabhupada's words, that just because Prabhupada said it, we have no doubt of it, and we just follow it. So what can we do?
Thank you for this question. Actually, that my last point, I forgot how to increase that faith. There's this verse in Bhagavatam, Shushrusho, sorry, it's a tongue breaker, Shushrusho Shadadanasya Vasudeva Katauruchi. And the last part? I took it out, let me just, I have it here. Shushusha Shadadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. That appears to be the method. The Shraddha comes by pleasing the devotee, the pure devotee. And we have examples like Narada Muni, who served the Mahatmas. Then he got so much faith, and he became, that's how he then became who he is now. And there is probably a number of instances also in Srila Prabhupada's life, how he, just by somebody who has no idea about Krishna consciousness, but by pleasing him or coming in touch with him, then the faith is developed. So that seems to be the only way that the faith can only be gotten from those who have the faith. It's not possible in another way. And so by associating with Srila Prabhupada, and especially, that's now I'm speaking personally, I think the most important is that we engage in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Like, we just become an instrument. Means if I need to clean the temple, then I clean the temple. If I need to give a class, if I do management, I do management. If I do deity worship, I just become a servant of Prabhupada. I serve him. I feel that's how our faith is increasing. And to me it seems in my personal spiritual life that that's how it works for me. That it's not by studying of books so much. That's also there, but I feel it's more by me desiring to just be of service and pleasing Prabhupada and sacrificing my time and energy and surrendering. And then I feel often that maybe I'm not studying so much or not reading so much, but somehow I feel that some knowledge is coming from my heart, and he's revealing in the heart, like we sing every day. And that's what is said in this verse, that if we really do seva, we please the pure devotee, then we get the faith. And so, yeah.
I wanted to say I was very impressed by Yamuna's comment, and we can really see her realizations about farming, and we show all the rest making some steps in this direction. And also she mentioned Chandamali Swami, and I remembered when he was here a few years ago, and he spoke about this prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said it will become true, but the question is also, will we be part of it? So it will become true, but each of us has his own free will to feel and be part of the prediction. Maybe some critical words, some say we should not do book distribution anymore and Ramashnamadam is not needed, so if they are working against Prabhupada's words, so they will become like a dry tree, like a, how to say, the Chaitanya tree, dry one. And so, yeah, this was something came to my mind. And you spoke about the deity to be established even in this every village. And then
Prabhupada said that, yeah.
Prabhupada said, and this reminded me on this essay of Tito Nagari, when he explaining that partners around the deity will be they're established, and the world is will live there, but people will come and just working there and getting prasadam and getting in this way good.
Thank you, Manu. Prabhu. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Yamuna, then we can finish.
May I add something to the question that Devashri asked? What helps for me the most is to see how in my life actually the things really come in the way that your Prabhupada would tell. Like if you do this, then this and this happens. And if you introspect more and more, you can see that actually your desires are fulfilled in this way, and that the process works. So if that works, why not everything else that your Prabhupada says, and also in interactions with others, that others also see that actually these words are coming true. So yeah, this is profound.
Thank you. Being conscious about what's happening around and with us. Reflect how we already got so much mercy, and yeah, thank you for sharing.
Deity worship in every village. Like here in Switzerland, there are churches in every village actually. So God is worshipped. Just people are somehow more or less in ignorance, so it's not so blossom. The Grundlage is actually already there. We just have to change some consciousness. That's probably also very much possible that it will spread like this.
Yes.
It becomes the most famous movement.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you all very much for your active participation. Maybe small inspiration. Just recently we went to see a project in the south of Switzerland, which kind of proves also the fact how maybe this movement can spread. And about church, when you said church, I got reminded. One devotee, ISKCON devotee, he somehow, by Krishna's mercy, he got the chance to develop a project which is, it's actually 2 complete villages in the mountains of Ticino. And these 2 villages, it has been a developed project by some other foundation, and this is like a multi-million project. And now he's a devotee, they gave him the charge, and you know, when we went there to this place, we also saw the village, the churches. They had one in this village and another in another, And I was thinking, you know, what will he do now with these churches? And we were chanting in these churches. And it was so beautiful because the churches were built in a way that it acoustically, you must know as a musician, know there is some science. And I was just thinking, wow, maybe that's also how the movement will spread, that just Krishna gives you a whole village and says, now you do something, and you install the deities in the church, and people will come and sing. So I wanted to share it because to me, seeing how other devotees are really empowered to do something big for Prabhupada and spread Krishna consciousness, then I also, the question, how do we gain faith? By seeing what has already happened and is happening.
Very short comment.
Yes, please.
Regarding church, I don't know the people already, but what we have seen in the United States is that churches are everywhere, but they're becoming more empty, and sometimes they are renting out their spaces for the gambling machines.
Gambling machines?
Yes. And then, what devotees do, they sometimes buy out these buildings and use them as a temples, which is proper usage, I think, because when the followers of one religion sincerely in the beginning, but gradually they became more materialistic and familiar with the God, and they neglected their duties regarding the God, and like Prabhupada was criticizing them for asking for the daily bread instead of love. And then devotees take over those buildings and churches, like to use them in a proper way. But also, as a tour member of Narendra Maharaj's college group, we went to the United States, and organizers were giving us the halls. Like sometimes it's professional halls with all the equipment. Sometimes it was university churches, which were empty also and completely unusable for these purposes. And they were thinking, who are we in understanding of people around, what they are doing, why they are giving us churches to perform our, dramas and kirtans, and nobody comes. Why is this attitude? How we can improve it? This is a big thing about churches in the modern world. Not sometimes they are just tourist attractions, unfortunately. Like Narendra Maharaj went to Milano recently, and Milano Dome is the biggest Catholic temple in the world. But Maharaj says, what I'm doing here. So we should avoid improper attitude and develop the proper attitude, like Ajagara Vritti, one of the formal Prabhupada. The snake comes to their mouse hole, and he eats the mouse and takes off the hole. So churches can be used as temples. Maybe in a pious country like this, I should not pronounce it publicly, respecting those believers who are still sincere in their beliefs. But in some cases, my personal first experience with Christianity practical was that I came to the Easter holiday in Orthodox Christian church, and the people were drunk. They were happy and drunk, and I was shocked. And I was trying to choose one of the religions to follow, and then I had already an experience with devotees, and I chose the Devotees Association. It's completely different. I don't know, I'm saying different things, but the conclusion is that we have to keep on following what we are doing, because the direction is there, and it just depends on our sincere efforts to make it true.
It's nice to see also how usually this topic creates a lot of enthusiasm and unity in the devotee community, that we have a mission, and so we should emphasize it more and more. Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing this. Srila Indra Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
you know,